Some hunters out on a treasure hunt got trapped in a cave and slowly realized that escaping from there was impossible because that cave was a death trap. Meanwhile, the hero of our story, Jinwoo, tried his best to get them out of there. In the previous episode, everyone saw how Jinwoo risked his life to save his friends, but deep inside, he was troubled. Meanwhile, in a quiet hospital room, Jinwoo's sister Sung entered as usual with a smile. She gently greeted them and said, "Good afternoon." The nurse also smiled and spoke in a loving voice. "Same to you, Miss Sung. It is always great to see you." Sung slowly went to her mother and placed her hand on her weak hand. She jokingly said, "Hey mom, your favorite daughter is here. There is one more news. I have an update on my national test." She kept speaking even though she knew her mother's condition was not good. Most of the time she remained unconscious, but Sung still kept talking to her. Back in that dark dungeon, Jinwoo hesitated slightly and said that he was not entirely sure yet, but she also had to come close to the altar. Perhaps it was necessary to light a flame for each person. Whatever happened would occur only after that. As everyone approached the altar, the circles glowed with red, yellow, and blue fire. Flaring up, the huge door slowly started to open at that very moment. The door opened up. Leader Sung spoke in a tired voice, while a girl murmured that they could leave. Another man shouted that this was exactly it. This was a way out, right? Then a third man said, "Hey, I do not know, man. This does not seem right." Suddenly, another man screamed in fear to look at the statues as they all were coming towards the altar. Everyone held their breath. One nervously asked what they should do, and if there was a plan. Those monster-like stone statues started advancing towards them from all sides. Then a man asked what they wanted in the name of this psycho god. Then a girl, trembling with fear, ran and went straight through the door. As soon as she left, the door slowly started to close, and one flame burning in the altar circle went out. Then, Jinwoo immediately looked at Juhee, who was about to close her eyes. He told Juhee not to close her eyes and to keep watching them. Now all the statues fixed their gaze on one spot, straight into their eyes. Leader Sung shouted nervously, asking the kid to say something about what was happening. Jinwoo looked at the door, which had closed a little more. He said that he thought she got out and perhaps reached outside. Then his mind clicked. These blue flames showed the passage of time. One by one, they were slowly extinguishing, and those red flames went out when someone stepped out of the circle. First, they had to worship, then they offered praise. And now the third task was to prove their faith. This open door was just a trick. It was a trap of false hope in a sea of fear. Perhaps the real test was that they should not try to run away. Perhaps the meaning of faith was to overcome fear and resist the temptation to run towards the door. Along with his thoughts, a warmth ran through his chest. Yes, this was the real test. Then suddenly a silence broke when a storm of fear rose in a man's heart. His voice was trembling as he said he could not do it. He shouted nervously and ran straight towards the open door. He swore that he tried. Jinwoo's face went pale. He warned them not to even dare to move. Another thought flashed through his mind, like lightning. He wished he had a little more understanding and time to handle everyone until then. He took a deep breath and spoke in a loud voice, telling everyone to stay calm. He pointed out that the blue flames were slowly extinguishing and that it was a timer. When they were all gone, they could leave straight from there without doing anything. Until then, the statues would not harm them. They just had to keep their eyes fixed on them. Everyone was breathing heavily. Then a man laughed bitterly and said that it was possible, but there was another possibility too. If the door closed completely, they would be trapped there forever. They would die of hunger, thirst, and fear. He admitted he never thought the world's weakest hunter would one day decide their life and death, but that day, he happily admitted he was wrong. Jinwoo was stunned to hear someone praise him. That was why he hesitated and smiled as he said thank you so much. But the third man let his hidden fear show on his face. His voice was breaking as he said he had a family and had to return home. He could not die there. He had gone way past his limit. He asked for forgiveness and also ran towards the door and crossed it. Now only Jinwoo, Juhee, and Leader Sung were left. Then Jinwoo spoke with anger and restlessness, saying that they all had to survive. He had made it out every time, and he would do it this time too. Just have a little more courage, Jinwoo. Then Leader Sung planted his sword in the ground and took a deep breath. There was a strange peace in his voice. He told Jinwoo that the two of them should go. As long as one of them stayed there, the door would remain open, and I will stay. You both still have a life. You have dreams. Do not waste them. Jinwoo heard this and a cold fire lit up in his heart. Mr. Sung smiled and said yes, he would stay. He told both of them to escape safely. He asked Juhee if she could take him outside. Juhee immediately nodded, but the very next moment she fell on her knees. She said yes. Oh no, forgive me. Her legs were not supporting her. Her voice was trembling with pain. Sung let out a faint, cold laugh. He said he also pushed himself beyond his limits. This was the result of trying to be a healing Jesus. Jinwoo called out loudly and told him to go. He urged him to take Juhee and save himself. Sung stared at him and asked, "Oh God, did you not listen to a single word I said? Half of your leg is severed. How will you carry her?" Now Jinwoo's face was stern. He said they were wasting so much time. He insisted that Sung should go. Juhee spoke slowly in a broken voice, asking if that meant she was useless. She said fine, then she would stay right there. Now Jinwoo Jinwoo leaned close to her, and there was a slight smile in his eyes. He asked if he hadn't promised to buy her a meal. Jinwoo gave Juhee the stone he found in the loot and told her to please have a meal with this on his behalf. And when he returned after the grand escape, he would take back the remaining money. Tears welled up in Juhee's eyes, and she screamed that he was joking at a time like this. But before she could finish speaking, Leader Sung struck her shoulder hard. Now Juhee fainted right there and fell. Sung closed his eyes and said to forgive him. He said she deserved a proper goodbye, but they had no time left. Jinwoo grabbed his shoulder firmly. He asked him to please take care of her. Sung looked at him deeply. He promised he always would. Now there was a peaceful shine in Jinwoo's eyes. He said he was happy that at least those two would survive because of his death. He had only one regret, that he did not buy a slightly better life insurance plan. He slowly stood up, suppressing all his pain. A statue as huge as a demon turned and came in front of him. It asked if he came to fight it. Come on. Jinwoo grit his teeth and said that today he would definitely knock at least one of them to the ground. After this, the statue struck a powerful blow, and Jinwoo barely managed to escape and jump to the side. His body was covered in wounds. Still, he pushed himself and stood up again. He said he was always the weakest. Everyone used to make fun of him, but still, he never gave up trying. So this was the result of his effort. He started screaming, "Shit! Shit! Shit!" His hand got cut off by a blow from a statue. He fell down in pain, and his screams held both anger and helplessness. He shouted that this was nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Cursing his fate with tears, he said he just wanted to be strong. He gave it his all, but he never could become strong like that. He knew it. He was just a weak human and nothing more than that. He did not even have the courage to wipe his tears. He just lay there fallen. He gave everything he had, and today his limit was just this. Now the echoes of his companions' screams spread through the altar rooms. His voice was filled with pain and hatred. He said he was just making his selfishness his excuse. His gratitude was just as empty as his pocket was. Jinwoo's eyes were filled with blood. He gritted his teeth and thought that only a real piece of trash would do such a thing. They used him and then left him for their own benefit. He also had a family. He also wanted to live a full life, but fine. If his death meant that they all stayed alive, then he accepted it. Just then, a giant statue's sword tore through Jinwoo. It lifted Jinwoo's body into the air and then threw him into the center of the altar with a bang. The ground shook. Jinwoo's lips were trembling. His eyes were half closed but screaming from inside. How could you think that? You are like a foolish show-off religious hypocrite. Something else on the outside and something else inside. No, I do not want to die. I want one more chance. Just one more chance. His breathing became heavy, and a strange light began to glow from amidst his blood. There was sadness in the voices, but within it, a new power and a spark of a new destiny was also burning. Groaning in pain, Jinwoo was lying on the altar, and there was blood all around. Huge statues stood forming a circle around him, and just then, a terrible blow landed, which knocked Jinwoo unconscious. I wish I could get one more chance. These were just his last words. But when his eyes opened, he was lying in a hospital. He wondered if he was really in a hospital. Hey, his hands and his legs were also perfectly fine. Wow, the wound on his chest had also completely vanished. So was all of this some scary dream? Just then a strange man entered with his assistant. He said, "Very good, you are already awake." Jinwoo was shocked and asked who he was. The stranger introduced himself, saying he was Jinchul, a team member of the Hunter Association's surveillance team. Manager. Okay. Jinwoo asked nervously, but what business did he have with him? Just then, the other person, Akira Inukai, who was right there, interrupted and said to wait. Before that, they would call his doctor. And at that moment, a strange humming rose in Jinwoo's mind, as if a song was emerging from within him. A small boy who lost, and I am hunting one after another. I have to settle the score. Stay away from me. Now, after hearing all this, Jinwoo came to his senses and with anger and surprise, asked if they were saying he was unconscious for 3 whole days, and if Juhee and Mr. Sung were both okay. Then team manager Akira Inukai spoke calmly, saying yes, but Jinwoo immediately became restless and asked, but what? Akira took a deep breath and said, Sung's one arm was severed, and this was a big challenge for any hunter. Perhaps he would have to quit working now. He had suffered a deep internal wound. His mind was very shaken, and he needed psychiatric treatment. Akira continued again in a low voice. And listen, Jinwoo, the team that went into that dungeon had a total of 13 hunters, but only 6 came back alive. Only 6. Akira sighed deeply and slowly said, Jinwoo, we all know how dangerous a hunter's job is, but such a painful death was a very rare occurrence. And the strangest thing about it was that when the second team arrived there to rescue the survivors, they saw that only he was lying on the ground, and the temple they were told about was not even there, and the statues that had surrounded him showed no sign either, only he was lying unconscious there. After hearing all this, Jinwoo just said softly to stay away. Akira nervously said it was hard to believe, but there were no inconsistencies in the statements they received. They even recovered the remains of all the dead from there. That was why their suspicion on his team had lessened. Then after a moment he hesitated and said there was one more thing. This was just a guess, but he asked Jinwoo if he had experienced a second awakening. He spoke with wide eyes, asking how that was possible. The power a hunter receives receives is fixed. It does not change. But yes, he had heard that very few people undergo a second awakening. Through that, they break their limits and rise to A or sometimes even S rank. He wondered if he could also be one. Akira handed him the mana stone and told him to place his hand on it. Jinwoo said nervously that if there really were instant kill monsters there, then it was impossible for a normal hunter to survive. And the disappearance of those monsters along with the dungeon also indicated that perhaps an A or S rank hunter was there. That was why a second awakening was the most probable cause. Akira folded his hands in thought and then slowly said, "Let's see what his rank would turn out to be." Jinwoo took a deep breath and asked the manager what rank the mana stone showed him now. Akira watched the glow of the stone. Then with a slight smile he apologized. He said it seemed they were wrong about him. Just then Jinwoo was shocked and asked what he meant. Then Akira's assistant said, "Manager, his reading was usually above 70, but this was just like a common citizen." Akira also nodded and said that the dungeon that disappeared could not be reopened, so he wondered how the boy survived alone. Jinwoo touched his forehead with his hand and said he had such high hopes and it all turned out to be useless. But he did not understand one thing. Why did they not ask him about the screen? Perhaps they could not see it. It meant that touch screen was not real either. It had appeared for the first time in that dungeon, and at that moment Jinwoo's thoughts turned towards Jinna. There his sister told him with anger and worry that he should take better care of himself. She asked if he even knew how worried she had been because of him. Jinwoo said with embarrassment to forgive him. He said other hunters always came out healthy, but he was the one who always got injured. His sister screamed. That was exactly why she was filled with anxiety. She warned Jinwoo that if something like that happened to him next time, she would quit her studies. She would start working. She asked if he understood so that he could quit his dangerous job. Jinwoo nodded with a smile. He said he received her message, loud and clear, but he asked her to tell him one thing. Did she see that strange screen? His sister asked in confusion, which screen? He said, oh, forget it. He asked if she remembered how sometimes an information window appeared in games. Now his sister raised her eyebrows and asked what kind of nonsense that was. She told him to tell her how to open such messages. His sister wagged her finger and said to stop it. She would call the doctor right then. She said he needed a mental checkup. Just then Jinwoo laughed and said, not to say that. He asked if she was the first player herself. His sister laughed and said yes, she was. And she remembered that if a notification was not opened, it went into the inbox. Understood. Jinwoo's eyes shone as he said that meant he had to open his inbox. He asked why she suddenly brought up games. Jinwoo said with a slight laugh that there was nothing else to do in the hospital. He said yes. He remembered that this game talk had happened before. His sister took a deep breath and said that he seemed fine. She was leaving and would meet him later. She told him to mind her words otherwise. She met her friend Song outside the hospital and spoke softly asking if she was ready. Song went that way. Suddenly in front of Jinwoo, a glowing screen opened up and strange words were written on it. This system is designed to help your development. If you do not follow its rules, you will receive a penalty. Your reward has now been sent. Jinwoo's eyes remained wide open. Just then the next message appeared. The daily training quest has been presented. Push-ups, sit-ups, running, all of this. If you do not complete this daily exercise, you will receive a penalty. Just then Jinwoo screamed, "Oh my god, what kind of joke was this? Where would a hospital patient get that much energy?" He wondered what was happening to him. Meanwhile, on the other side, team manager Akira was talking on the phone. "Hello, Chairman Go. We met Hunter. Jinwoo sung at the hospital, and we have to admit that we were wrong." Chairman Go took a deep breath and said he understood. It was good that this incident did not turn into a dungeon break, but still, it left many questions unanswered. Akira nodded and said he was absolutely right. This was an incident that had never happened before. Chairman Go said slowly that when it came to dungeons, there was never a shortage of mysteries. He ordered to record this incident as a special case and put it in the databank. It would be investigated later. In response, Akira said he would do it right away. After thinking a little, Akira said it seemed the day was going to be very long. Now a little further away in another office, the guild chief was talking to a girl. So what were her thoughts on the next B-rank raid? Would she play the role of a teacher for them? Miss Cha. Hearing this, Miss Cha was shocked. Teacher? But why? Look, this raid will be a test for our new students. That was why he wanted her to be there too, if she was ready. Miss Cha hesitated and said she did not know how good of a teacher she would be. The chief replied with a smile that she just had to fight the way she always fought. She did not have to put on any extra show. The new people would learn just by watching her work. Her talent was proof in itself. Their guild was one of the 5 largest guilds in the country. But in the international field, they were still behind. That meant there was still room for improvement. And yes, it seemed contradictory, but fighting together could increase their strength, even if not individually. That was why it would be better to be ready. So understand that no one knew what was coming next. During this time, a new rift suddenly opened on the street. The police were moving the crowd back. Move, move, move quickly. From the crowd standing there, people started talking and said, hey, another rift opened up. Then the first man started speaking, saying yes. And this time, it was straight in the middle of the road. Oof, he hoped these people would handle it quickly. He said it was true. The hunters should have arrived by now. Another glowing screen appeared in front of Jinwoo. Jinwoo said nervously, "Hey, what was this? Was there an earthquake?" He could not hear anything. Was he dreaming? He was just in the hospital and now house. Just then, a huge monster stood before his eyes. Hey, were they kidding? Jinwoo's breathing became fast. At this time in the hospital, a nurse came for rounds and said, "Wait." Then, the second nurse asked what happened. "Hey, look, where did the patient of this room go?" And then in a desert, Jinwoo was running from that huge monster to save his life. Catch him. Hey, catch him. Someone save me. Jinwoo was running while shouting loudly. Only screams were coming out of Jinwoo's mouth. His legs were tearing through the desert sand and running, and from behind that huge monster was chasing him while roaring. The voice shouting, "Save me! Someone help!" echoed, but alas, there was no one to listen. If this went on for 2 more hours, he would die anyway. Now back at the hospital, both nurses were looking for Jinwoo. The first nurse spoke. Did they find any trace of him? Then the second nurse said no, nothing at all. And in response, the first nurse said perhaps they missed him, and he had now gone back to his room. Then the second nurse said, "Let's see." She found it very difficult to believe that he would have gone out of the hospital at this time. Now let's go back to Jinwoo, who was running from the monster in the desert. And in front of him, a timer was running, which was about to end. Tick, tick. I cannot keep running forever. Breath. O is breaking. Jinwoo stumbled and was about to fall, and soon as the time ended, a glow spread all around him and thud, and Jinwoo was back in his hospital room. Once again, a glowing screen was in front of him. Jinwoo screamed in panic. Just then, the nurse came running into the room. Here he is. Here he is. Found him. Mr. Sung. Mr. Sung, are you okay? The next morning, Jinwoo was talking to his sister on the phone. Yes, now I have almost recovered. I will be able to leave the hospital soon. His sister said happily that it was very good to hear. But where would he take her now? He had worried her so much. He owed her big now. Jinwoo laughed and said, okay, we will talk later. I have to go now. Now after his phone call ended, he took a deep breath. Now the time to leave had come. Meanwhile, Juhee, lost in her thoughts, was passing through the hospital gallery and heading towards Jinwoo's room. 2 nurses were talking there. Look, he is doing it again. The second nurse said, oof, since the day he regained consciousness. He runs for practice every day. Then the first nurse said, but what about his leg? She knew that hunters healed faster than normal people, but still, he was saying that he was rebuilding his body. Then the second nurse said, she had already told him to rest, but he just would not listen. He would not listen at all. Now in response to this, the first nurse said it was as if he was never injured. Oof, what a difficult patient he was. After a little, while Jinwoo was sitting alone on a park bench, he closed his eyes and thought that in the last 4 days since he regained consciousness, he had understood a few things. First of all, this glowing screen was not his illusion. It was real. When he completed the daily exercise, he received 3 types of rewards. He lifted his hand and placed it on his leg and said with a smile, full recovery activated. And just like that, his fatigue vanished in an instant. He also received reward points, which he could distribute according to his preference. So he increased his strength, and yes, he could really feel that his body had become even more powerful. There was a shine in Jinwoo's eyes. Oh yes, and he also had this screen. Jinwoo was sitting on the park bench and talking to himself. Now the people sitting around him were looking at him in surprise as if he had gone mad. Now Jinwoo himself let out a laugh. This world had become strange anyway, but his world had become even stranger, just like a game. He looked at the screen and said, my daily final name, that inventory inbox. What will I get today? Maybe some bandages, a pen, or useless items will come out again. Now seeing a special dungeon, Jinwoo's eyes went completely round. Dungeon, what was this? But whatever he had received so far had helped increase his strength. This must also be something special. Now in his hand was shining a small key, as if it held a mystery within itself. Jinwoo stared at it and with a slight smile said, it seemed fate was calling him to play again, be it a dungeon or a well of death. Now there was no question of backing down. With this episode of the anime ends here. If you liked the video, then please like it. Friends, we bring good anime to you with a lot of hard work. Do keep your support coming, friends. Until then, stay tuned with Anime Destan. Just imagine when someone's greed increases so much that he has to gamble with his own life. Our hero and his team went out in search of treasure, but this journey became a forest of death for them. One mistake and everything is over. One by one, the people of his team lose their lives. 3 years ago, when the world clashed with the shadow of monsters for the first time, a soldier shouted in panic, Captain, we should also join the fight. But the captain took a deep breath and said, you know that is not possible. Even if we jumped into the fight, our weapons would not affect those monsters. That was why everything now depended on the hunters. Just then, suddenly in the battlefield, a large monster came from behind. Now seeing it, the second soldier roared loudly, everyone stay in your position and fight. If they got past them, history would be made today. Now all the soldiers together kept attacking. But alas, those monsters turned out to be very powerful. One by one, all the soldiers fell fell to the ground. One soldier cried out while weeping, "No, this is useless. If we were of high rank, then perhaps we would have won, but we are just low-rank soldiers." Just then, an injured soldier said in a bad state with shallow breaths, "Oh God, I am fainting." And then a light flashed as if it were magic. Because healer Byungju arrived, he immediately started healing the soldiers. Just as he was handling everyone from behind him, two S-rank hunters arrived. As soon as they came, they launched a massive attack on the big monster. The soldiers screamed with joy. Wow, the S-rank hunters have arrived. Now they will handle everything. Now at that time, the first hunter looked at Byungju with a smile and spoke. "Byungju, you seem very emotional." Byungju replied calmly, "Forgive me, but the faster I heal, the more lives will be saved. I ran ahead because I knew that you both were coming behind me, and in this way, the light of hope reawakened on the battlefield." Now both hunters took a deep breath together and said, "Us." Suddenly another monster appeared, but this one was even bigger and white in color than the previous one. Now the first hunter looked carefully and said, "I do not think this is the real boss. It is just another chieftain monster. Byungju, you take care of the injured people. We are coming right now." Byungju immediately replied, "Understood, I am on it." Along with this, the first hunter looked at his partner and said, "Ready, friend?" To which the second hunter said with a smile, "Always." And then both hunters joined their full strength and fell upon the white monster. They attacked with the thunder of lightning, the roar of destruction, and a bright flash. After a loud explosion, the monster fell with a thud. Its green blood splattered all around. But just then, from behind it, even bigger white monsters arrived. Now the first hunter spoke in surprise. "Hey, this was not the leader." Seeing this, the second hunter laughed. "Wow, wow, 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 what luck we have. Now it will be even more fun." And both of them started fighting again with full power. Even the sky shook from their collision. Now at the same time, towards the city, the same incident started happening because many monsters arrived to attack, but they faced the hunter chief himself. Now the chief, remembering the jungle fight, thought inwardly, it seems they did it exactly on time. Good, then we should start too. Just then, a soldier called out loudly, "Chief, we await your command." The chief raised his hand and spoke, "Right, all units attack." And then the fire of war flared up on two different battlefields. The chief raised both his hands and immediately formed a large fireball and threw it forcefully towards the large monster. And with this flash, he remembered that it was a time a decade ago. Then, for the first time, gates opened between our world and a strange world. And from those very gates came terrifying enemies whom we named magic beasts. Now upon these monsters, the weapons of ordinary humans did not work at all, but some humans woke up with a different power, and they were called hunters. Inside the hunters sat a magical power, and that very power determined their rank: S rank, A rank, B rank, C rank, or D rank, and at the very bottom was E rank. The most difficult thing was that once a hunter received a power, it remained the same for life. Neither training nor practice. Nothing could make it grow any bigger, meaning your strength was exactly what you received on the first day. And then 3 years later, near a coffee van, friendly talks were going on. The first man said with a smile, "Hey brother, best of luck to you and your team for today's raid." The second man folded his hands and smiled, "Thank you." Just then the third man suddenly came with a laugh and said, "Hey Mr. Kim, how are you after so many days?" The second man was shocked and laughed. "Oh wow, you are the one I was not even thinking of seeing." Just then the third man spoke laughingly, "Hey, I told you I had quit hunting, but baby number 2 is on the way, so I have to return again." Now the second man understood and said, Understood. If the raid is successful, then you will get good money for the new kids, right?" The third man said a little nervously, "Yes, but I am a little nervous. It has been quite a few days, right? That is why. Anyway, I have always been a little weak, right?" Just then, a peaceful cold wind started blowing, and from amidst that wind, our hero Jinwoo's entry happened. The men were surprised to see him. Was this really Jinwoo Sung they were seeing? The second man laughed. "Hey brother, how are you? Did you come even in this cold?" Now, Jinwoo spoke with a slight smile, saying, "Yes, it felt good to work with you guys again." Now after a while, they both started gossiping about Jinwoo. The second man laughed and said, "Hey little one, did you eat food? Filling the stomach is necessary to fight magic beasts. Why is everyone talking looking at him? Is he some big hunter?" The second man suppressed his laughter and spoke, "Oh, exactly the opposite. He is considered the world's weakest hunter." Now Jinwoo thought in his mind and said it was too late. He had heard everything, and anyway, they had not said any lies. They said only what was true, and he had accepted all of that himself. Just then another voice came, and everyone's ears perked up because a girl walking with fast steps came forward. Jinwoo's friend Juhee shouted with anger and concern, "Jinwoo, you got hurt again." Jinwoo took a light breath with a smile and said yes, but he was alive. Why was she taking tension? It was good to see her. Juhee acted a little coy and said to leave these small talks and tell her straight what happened to him. Jinwoo replied calmly, the same as always and nothing else. Now hearing this, Juhee's face became serious. He should take care of himself, right? She heard he had even reached the hospital. Then Jinwoo let out a slight laugh and said, "But the good thing was that only he got hurt, everyone else was safe. Juhi shouted in anger. So what? How could he be so careless? And the team did not even call a healer. This is too much, man. In response to which, Jinwoo said peacefully that he was not angry. To be honest, this happened because of his weakness, man. Why was she overreacting so much? And all hunters treated him that way. He had gotten used to it. Up ahead, a man called everyone loudly. His name was Chil-sung. If anyone had an objection, tell him now. Otherwise, he would become the leader of this raid. Now, everyone looked at each other, but no one said anything. Then a man agreed and said, no, brother. He had no problem. He was the most skilled among all of them. Now, hearing this, the second man also nodded his head in agreement. Yes, if he led, the tension would be less. Right, friends? Jinwoo bowed his head with respect and said it was a matter of pride for him to work with him. Leader Chil spoke with a slight smile, saying, good. Then it was decided. Shall we go then? Then he turned towards Jinwoo and said, hey, kid, stay a little behind and don't get yourself hurt. Good boy, right? Good. Jinwoo nodded and smiled. Good idea. Now, saying this, everyone walked one after another and started entering the portal gate. Jinwoo stared at his small knife and thought inward. This knife did not have much magical power, but this was the only weapon he could buy. Hey, it was better than having nothing. Let's take this raid to the end. Now at this time, the direction of the story changed a little. Far away in a different place, in the chairman's office, his secretary smiled and said, welcome. Chairman Gu, how was the meeting with your officials? The chairman replied in a serious tone. Oh, man, the same old things. Breaking a dungeon always becomes a difficult task, but still, they need the resources we gather from the gate. Their demand is not wrong. In today's time, hunting has become the world's most profitable job, only because of those treasures that are found in the monsters' dungeons. Who could have thought that the magic stones found inside these magic beasts would become so valuable? Now let's come back here to the dungeon, where Jinwoo shouted happily. Oh wow, we found one. We found one. He could not believe it, but his happiness did not last long, because suddenly a monster attacked him from behind. Now Juhi shouted loudly in panic. Jinwoo barely escaped that blow and tried to attack the monster with his knife. But what was this? The knife broke complete. Oh man, when will this hero become a superstar? Anyway, the monster attacked again and Jinwoo became red with blood. Just then, one of their companions came running for help. Juhi screamed in fear. He had to find all of them. That too quickly. Now Jinwoo was in a lot of pain. Their companion looked at Juhi and spoke. He would go back and help the main attack team. She should watch him and if possible, take him out. Juhi immediately sat on her knees near Jinwoo. Holding his blood-soaked hand, she said, okay Jinwoo, you will get well. I will make you brand new. Don't take tension. Meanwhile, the chairman walking slowly in his office thought, we hunters extract magic stones from high-rank monsters. Then we make weapons and armor from them, and with those weapons we kill even bigger monsters. This has become a dangerous cycle. People think we just bring energy crystals because they also did the same work. Oh man, but they were not that effective, are not, and the gears made from them also become weak. Oh, scientists are currently researching how to create electricity from these magic stones. It is rare energy. This is rare energy which only hunters can collect, and for this reason, the burden on hunters' shoulders has increased even more. Here we come back to the dungeon, where upon the end of the battle, all hunters shout happily together. Yes, we defeated them. Now Juhi comes towards Jinwoo and sees that both anger and worry are visible on his face. You know how to call Mr. Tanti, right? Tell me the truth. You became a hunter because you are stubborn. You never give up, right? That is the only reason, right? It is just a matter of time. Someday you will have to face even more difficulty. Now looking at Jinwoo's wounds, she says in surprise, I thought you were only hurt in the stomach, but you are injured everywhere. Now Jinwoo speaks slowly in a faint voice. Forgive me. Juhi stopped Jinwoo and looked into his eyes. There was a slight tremor in her voice. I am not asking for an apology, Jinwoo. I just worry about you. Now here in the darkness of the dungeon, a strange silence fell for a while. Then Leader Song's loud voice shook everyone. Is everyone okay? The loot has been collected. One hunter agrees. Yes, boss. Whatever could be sold, we have taken. The second hunter speaks, complaining a little. But we didn't find as many energy crystals here as we thought. Magic stones were also few. This dungeon just turned out to be a dry money-making machine. Jinwoo was standing in a corner. Both fatigue and pain were written on his face. In his mind, he thought, so it's over, and the result of my hard work is also over. Just a single E-rank magic stone. Even after risking my life, I only got this. Lousy reward. His thought was still going on when suddenly a team leader shouted excitedly, hey listen, come quickly. It looks like a cave or tunnel, and it goes quite far. Now hearing this, all the hunters ran towards that side, together. They kept looking at each other with surprise in their eyes. This looks like a dungeon within a dungeon. One hunter spoke up. I have never seen such a thing with my own eyes. The second hunter growled and said, I also felt how it became so easy to clear the dungeon. Perhaps that was why there was no sign of it closing. Exactly, the third hunter replied. That thing seemed a little strange to me too. Now leader. Song stared at the dark wall of the cave. There was a distinct heaviness in his voice. So, this means this dungeon is not as dry as we thought. He turns towards the entire group in his authoritative tone and says, okay guys, everyone listen carefully. According to to the system, such cases always have to be reported to the Hunters Association, and then we have to wait for their permission. Song looked at the team and said, I understand your point, but moving forward means putting our lives in danger. That is why let's vote. Everyone started speaking in their turn. Now, the first man says, I will not go. The second man said, I say yes. The third man shook his head and said, no. The fourth man also said, same for me. The fifth man said, no man, it's worth checking out. Just then, the first hunter speaks, getting a little excited. Come on, friends, we should go. The second hunter also immediately said, yes, man, nothing will happen. We will handle it, right? But Juhi said with a little hesitation and fear, sorry, everyone, but I do not want to go inside. Now, hearing this, everyone became silent. Leader Song counted and said, look, now the decision is in Jinwoo's hands, whether in favor or in opposition. Hearing this, everyone's eyes fixed on Jinwoo at once. Now he thought deep inside. Now, everything depends on me. Even if this dungeon is only D rank, I will get into trouble myself. But what option do I even have? Dad is missing. I am the only earner in the house. Mom's treatment is not free, and I also have to pay my sister's college fees. He looked at his blood-red hand and took a deep breath. Jinwoo took a deep breath and spoke loudly. My vote is yes. We will go. Inside. Now at the same time in another place, at the guild office, the examiner guided a candidate in a formal tone. Raise your right hand, place it on the crystal, and just relax. Next candidate ready. At the same place, a man talking to the chairman on the phone says, Chairman, right now the situation looks very hopeless. Just think, 1 B rank and 2 C rank hunters are already ready to join us. I think you will be happy. The chairman speaks in a cold and commanding manner. I am already happy. Here on the other side, a lady was walking on the street. Just then, 2 boys came on a bike, snatched her bag, and ran away. The lady screamed, please, please stop them. My bag. Stop them. My bag. The boys on the bike shouted to move out of the way. They told the auntie to move aside if she wanted to live. Just then, another lady stood in the middle of the road and caught the bag flying over the bike. Now both thieves fell from the bike and crashed onto the road. Seeing this, the lady said in surprise, oh God, that was amazing. Thank you. Many, many thanks. Now the crowd started screaming excited. Oh wow, what a great job. Wow, 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 the bag is back. Hey, she is an S-rank hunter. Very good, very good. Man, back inside the dungeon, the first hunter spoke tiredly, saying it had been so long, man. He was tired of walking. Now Jinwoo and Juhi were walking ahead with a little fatigue, but were fully focused on the mission. Jinwoo spoke in a slightly guilty tone and said he was really sorry. Juhi spoke with irritation, asking what he had done now. Jinwoo replied, with a little shyness, that it was him who voted yes to come there. He knew she wanted them to stop. He told her not to take stress because of him. Now Juhi spoke in a strict voice, telling him to stop the nonsense. Jinwoo spoke calmly, saying he would stop if she was really okay. Juhi's anger erupted. She asked if he was kidding. She said she was not okay at all. She asked if he did not remember the goblin attack. If it was a little higher, he would have died. And along with his limbs, it was so difficult to heal that chest wound. She asked if Jinwoo understood. She said it seemed he really got hit on the head. That was why he was being such a big idiot. Now Jinwoo spoke, slightly apologizing, and said to forgive him. He said he could not repay her. Her B-rank healing spells had saved him every time, so the right way to say thank you would be that. He should take her out for a meal. She asked if he understood. Now Jinwoo's eyes went wide with surprise, and his whole face looked troubled, wondering what she had said. Now Juhi spoke jokingly, asking what happened and why he was surprised. She asked if treating her felt that bad. Jinwoo nervously said no, absolutely not. He said he would take her happily. After this, Jinwoo and the entire team moved forward. Then the first hunter pointed and said, finally, look, they found the lair. The second hunter spoke in a slightly cautious voice, saying there was a real door there. Usually, in a dungeon, the door was never closed. The third hunter, suppressing a laugh with some nervousness, said it looked quite scary, didn't it? Now the fourth hunter spoke with firm determination that now that they had covered such a long journey, they would not go back empty-handed. Here Leader Song spoke in a serious but calm tone, saying they had a total of 13 people, and the rule was to come together and leave together. He asked if they understood. On the other side, the chairman's face was visible on TV. He calmly spoke, saying for those who did not know him, he was Go Gun Hee, the current chairman of the Hunter Association. Some newly selected people would become hunters and some would not, but he wanted to tell everyone to take their decision thoughtfully. 10 years had passed since the gates appeared, and even today, they were a mystery to them. Becoming a hunter meant putting one's life in danger. Even veteran hunters should never let their guard down during raids. That was his biggest advice. Never be arrogant or careless. If they wanted to stay alive, they should always remain humble. Now, here in the dungeon, the team lit torches, and the first DOD team leader said finally there was light. The second team member whistled and said, wow, what an atmosphere. This was an amazing atmosphere. So this dungeon looked quite different. Jinwoo stood among his companions. His eyes were sharp and alert. Every corner and every shadow seemed like a possible danger to him. But this time, their job was clear, to collect loot and return safe. Now, the first hunter spoke with a little caution in his voice, telling them to move forward carefully, to not take anything lightly. The second hunter nodded and said, oh yes, man. And if anything seemed seemed strange, to give a signal immediately. They were all together. Okay. Juhi held Jinwoo tight, so Jinwoo thought that now there should be no mistakes. 3 hunters were looking around with sharp eyes. The 3rd hunter pointed a finger and asked what these old statues were. Each one had something different in their hands. Some had weapons, some had instruments. Now Jinwoo widened his eyes and said, "Oh, look at that big one." The others said in surprise that the rest looked small in front of it. This one was huge. Was it some king? It looked like the King of Fear. The 4th hunter spoke in a confused voice asking, "But boss, where were the monsters and magic stones?" There were no magic beasts at all. Not even insects are visible. Leader Song speaks in a serious voice. "It is strange. What does all this show? Is this a way to see the future?" Just then the 5th member called out from above, "Mr. Song, something is written here. It looks like an ancient script." Now Juhi also said, completely terrified, "But that big stone statue, its eyes are moving. It has been watching us since then." With this episode ends here. If you liked the video, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.